Okay, if you guys would join me for the pledge.
Flag of the United States of America. Indivisible.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion to move into executive session for the purpose of reviewing one personnel matter with no action to follow. Do I have a second? Second from Josh. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. They've done the pledge, so I'd like to make a motion to return to open session. Do I have a second, Mr. Crabtree? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you. Before we go into tonight's presentations, I'd like to have a moment of silence for Patricia Weasley, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Thank you. Okay, our first presentation this evening is the Optimus Oratorical Contest finalists. So I would like to ask Libby Thomas to come up and introduce.
How's that? Okay, all right. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to present these gentlemen. They have very thought-provoking and dynamic speeches to share with you. And before they get started, I would like you to think for a moment if someone asked you to answer this question. How optimism has guided you through trying times? That's pretty special. That's pretty special. Yes, yes. So tonight we have Noah Seitz and we have Liam Byrne. And I would first like to introduce you to Noah Seitz. He is a dynamic presenter, works with the CNS theater groups. And I think you will very much enjoy what he is going to share with you today. Noah?
You guys, if the board members want to sit in the audience for the.
How optimism has guided me through trying times. All humans have natural urges and tendencies. One of these is anxiety, the heart-thumping feeling you get on a roller coaster, the goosebumps on your back that stand up when you're cold. All of it is natural. All of it keeps us alive. But you know what else is a part of life? Positivity. And dare I say, optimism. The driving force that kept the pioneers going, the force that kept some of the world's most influential people to continue to create peace in the world. All humans have struggled with anxiety. Like when I was first starting middle school, I was so scared about starting it. I was scared that I was going to be pummeled into the ground or shoved into a locker. I was scared that my clothes weren't going to be good enough. So instead of dressing how I thought I normally should, I changed myself. I would slick my hair back with gel, and I made my mother buy me a jean jacket because I thought it would look cool. Turns out the cool kids in the movie Grease were a lot different than the ones in my middle school. But alas, I knew in my heart that this new school was not my enemy. Sure, a handful of schools would be joining together, and I would be surrounded by those whom I've never seen before. But instead of finding something to be fearful of, I found friends. Lifelong friends. Bang! Bang! Crash! What was that? The thunder and the lightning coming closer and closer to my house. White streaks attack the ground, causing chunks of dirt to fly across the sky. Meanwhile, I am under my covers, shaking with fear. Bzzz. A bumblebee flies by just a few feet away from me, minding its own business, trying to do its job. Meanwhile, I am screaming, running away, terrified that the big, massive needle of a bee stinger is going to come and rapidly attack my body. But suddenly, a force stops me. A balancing factor. Optimism. Instead of living a petrified life, terrified that the lightning will come and strike me down, I will look up at the sky and learn. Mother Nature has created this beautiful weather phenomenon, and I will use my passion to turn the seemingly terrible effects of weather into a lifelong appreciation of meteorology. Instead of running by a bee whenever I go by one, I'll just walk by it. The bee doesn't want to hurt me, and I don't want to hurt it, because this creature creates a positive impact on society. And if I look at it and scream, what does that say about my ability to make a positive impact on society? Now, if it wasn't apparent at this point, yes, I might have a slight issue with anxiety. In fact, I have stopped watching certain movies because I can't handle the plot. What do you mean Marty might not make it back to the future? I can't bear to watch that. But something that has plagued me for many years is the true reality of plain evil in this world. Some people want to hurt others. Some people seek power and greed. When I was younger, I would sit in class terrified that somebody would come into my classroom with an assault weapon and end my life. Instead of focusing on my education, I would be worried about creating an escape route in every single class of mine in case I needed to do so. How sad is this? How drab is this? A world where I watch the news and become terrified of all of the different things the highly paid news anchors are telling me is happening in the world. Is the entire world going to end? Is the entire world evil? No, it is far from it. Because when you turn off your screens and you turn off your bias, you will open your eyes and see your true world. There may be soft and warm grass outside, or there may be over 100 inches of snow outside, but it is your reality. All small things in the world, such as a literal breath of fresh air, or swinging on a swing set, or drinking an ice-cold cup of water, have value. These are things we can appreciate. We can find the good in all of these things. Humans have to appreciate the power of communication. The fact that a human can share what they want to in such eloquent language is something that will keep me going forever. Humans can talk so efficiently with one another that we can complete things. We can believe things. We can share stories. This isn't evil. This is amazing. The fact that I have such a big opportunity to change the world just by using the positive words that come out of my mouth. Everybody's positivity is the key to change in the world. This is how optimism has guided me through trying times, because whenever my life may seem down and my anxiety flares up, I can always use my natural balancing factor, the knowledge that no matter what happens in this world, I can always have an impact with just my words.
Okay. So thank you, Noah. That was just as exciting as it was the first time I heard it. So it's very nice to have you here doing that today. Okay. Liam Byrne was not only our club's first place winner, but he came in first place in the New York and New England competition in New Hartford. We're very excited about this. This is something that just puts us over the moon, and I think you'll be able to understand why. Liam's a very dynamic person also, and he is involved in soccer, in the Optimist Club as our president for the Junior Optimist, and he's also a member of the Board of Directors Legislative Committee. So he's kind of busy, and yet he was able to share this with us. So Liam, I'd like to ask you to come up and share your oratorical speech.
Good afternoon. How optimism has guided me through trying times. Optimism is a manifestation of the human spirit. It shapes our lives and the lives of those around us every day, allowing us to persevere through those times that seem impossible to endure. The optimism that we and those around us express makes it possible for us all to accept that the sun will rise every morning and helps us to appreciate that life is worth rising to greet it. I have a grandfather that recently overcame a brutal heart condition, and the battle he had to fight to get there was a very difficult time, not just for himself, but for the entire family. It would have felt almost impossible to get through if not for the fact that my grandfather, this down-to-earth, blue-collar, thick-accented Irishman, remained optimistic throughout the entire ordeal. He's always been a remarkably positive person who never hesitates to compliment each and every one of life's gifts. So it was not a surprise that his optimism never waned, especially in the presence of family. It was his insistence that everything would be all right that took root in the family, growing like a great oak tree and convincing the rest of us that in the end, everything might just turn out for the better. But the benefit of optimism in our lives isn't just in facilitating the happiness of those around us. It can also have a significant impact on our health. With the National Library of Medicine and even the Department of Homeland Security making the claim that an optimistic outlook on life aids not only in improving mental health and fighting against a number of horrible afflictions such as cancer, but also in preventing their establishment in the first place. Harvard Medical School supports this as well, making the claim that an optimistic outlook on life helps to improve cardiac health, maintain a healthy blood pressure, and improve the longevity of those who make the choice to be optimistic. With each day comes the promise that if we choose to make the effort to find the optimism within ourselves in those trying times where it seems like life is hurling stones, we can lift ourselves out of situations that seem otherwise impossible to bear. When I first learned the topic for this oratorical contest, I took an inventory of my own life experiences, and fortunately, I couldn't find many instances of extreme hardship where I couldn't lean on the optimism of friends and family to help guide me. That's what motivated me to speak about my grandfather's triumph over despair, and how his optimism helped the rest of us to find the hope and positive outlook that we needed. I can't fathom how I could have gotten through such a difficult situation without the support of others. But in life, adversity comes in countless forms, and each one requires us to summon as much determination, tenacity, and optimism as we can from ourselves and those we love to wade through the marsh that is trying times. I've had other people important to me in my life undergo trying times for entirely different reasons to myself. Just under a year ago, my cousin lost both his grandparents over a very short period of time. It was at his grandfather's wake, just 2 short weeks after the loss of his grandmother, that his mother asked me and a couple of his friends to take him for a walk to clear his mind. So we decided to visit a local pizza shop just a few blocks away. I remember everything about that walk, from the tiny, insignificant cracks in the sidewalk, bringing forth life as blades of grass grew from dead stone, to the husks of leafless trees with branches that seemed to reach towards one another in search of a comforting embrace. I remember the way my cousin's friend jokingly ordered a large pineapple pizza with extra anchovies. Now, I've seen some great comedians live in concert, and that order is still the funniest thing I've ever heard. But most of all, I remember the way my cousin laughed when he heard what his friend had requested. It was this loud, defiant laugh that refused to submit to grief. It was a declaration made without a single word spoken that any hardship can be endured. And without the optimism of the human spirit and the knowledge that the sun will come up tomorrow, it would not have been possible. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, talk.
Okay, now I would like to welcome up Kristen Hill and Aaron Deaver for the Career Center presentation. I mean,
Oh, here. All right, that's better, right? Okay, sorry. Wrong glasses up here. Um, so I'm Erin Deaver. I run the Career Center at the high school and I recognize most of your faces. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to come in and kind of toot my horn to show you what the Career Center has been doing this year for our CNS students. First and foremost, I do have a website that I update, which has all the information that we're going to go over tonight. It is located off of the CNS High School website. There is a link there to access all of that information. The annual College and Trades Fair is in October of every year. It's the first Tuesday of every October. I had just over 80 colleges and universities attend this past October. Not all from New York State. Many were from out of state, which was really great. And I had 11 trades areas represented. So it was very well attended, even though we had to put ourselves in the 3 cafeterias because we didn't have the gym. It went very well, I thought. Had a lot of great feedback. Also on that night, typically, it did not happen this past October because of construction, but we have financial aid fact night, which the counseling office puts that on. So about a half an hour or so before the college fair begins, we have that in the auditorium where we have someone who's well-versed in financial aid, and they give a presentation to help parents and students understand the whole process. College visits this year, I've had about 54 colleges visit individually throughout the year from September to April. I actually had a couple, OCC was here today, and I had a few in May, which is kind of unusual, but if they want to come in, I say, why not? 3 instant admit days, or we have a few schools that will come in and do an instant decision or instant admit for students that have already applied and they just haven't heard back. Niagara University is always wonderful about giving students, those that have been accepted, whether they agree to attend or not. She always brings in pizza and cookies for the kids. So if they want to come down during their lunch, that's something they do every year, which is really nice. Military recruiting, I'm also responsible for the military recruiters coming in to the building. We do that September through May. We have all 4 of the full-time branches, plus Army National Guard and Air National Guard. And I just received an email this past week. I'm very excited that the Coast Guard is going to be coming back to this area for to have a recruiting office. So we will have someone in the fall that come in for the Coast Guard. A lot of times students don't think of that. We have ROTC presentations. Sometimes teachers will allow some of the members to come in and give presentations to their juniors to let them know about the whole ROTC scholarship program. I've had quite a few students going into the military every year, and I've helped them with that process. I'm a military mom, so I know a little bit more about the whole enlistment process. And they've come back, it's so nice, they come back and visit me in their uniform and see if they can make me cry. But it's just, it's really wonderful to see them. I've had some that have really struggled and we're trying to, had to jump through all the hoops for getting into the branches. So it's really nice to have them do that. One of the main responsibilities that I have in the Career Center is career exploration and helping students with that path after high school. Whether we do it through the ASVAB or I do it individually, they don't have to take the ASVAB, which is the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. It is a program that is really great. It's one of the better career exploration tools that is out there for students. It is free. None of their information is released to any military branch. I'm very protective of that. And I have students take it and then they come back the following week and we get their scores. It measures their strengths and then we look at their interests and jumble that up, and it generates a list of possible career choices, which they can do research on. They have access to their website for a couple of years after that. And I stay with them right until they graduate. Whether it's an elective that they can take, whether it's a job shadow that I can put them on or get them in touch with a professional. Sometimes we can't do job shadows in certain areas, but I do know a lot of people in a lot of different professions. So I offer it typically October, December, and March. Sometimes I do it more. It all depends on if there's an interest. I had 53 students participate this year. I'm just finishing up meeting with all of these students to follow up to see where they are, especially the seniors, to make sure that they have a plan, and juniors going into their senior year, and sophomores, of course, going into their junior year. My job shadow program is run September through April. At least I try. I still have 4 that I'm trying to place, so it looks like it might be extended to June. But I have 4 more left, and I've done 65 shadows so far with 45 local businesses. If we can't do a job shadow, as I mentioned before, there are some occupations that are difficult to find shadows in. You know, we might have a presentation. One of my favorites to mention is forensics. Forensics is really hard, that you can't get in, but we do have a virtual presentation that I'll do with an Onondaga County medical examiner, and then we have the director of the forensics department up at SU, and they will discuss, you know, the whole thing from start to finish on how you go about it and answer any of the students' questions. So that's really great. Another positive note on the job shadow, I've had several students every year that will go on a job shadow, and if they, especially if they, depending on the business, I've had them get hired by that business. I had a senior, she was hired after she graduated. She started right away in July. I had a young lady who went to Spira's and ended up working in the deli until she graduated. But so it's really helpful, and it helps the students begin networking at a younger age. One-on-one student consulting appointments. I'm not a school counselor, but I tend to get the school counseling department is very supportive of me. We work closely together to help our students. I do a lot of one-on-one with students. Since we got back from the pandemic, you know, the whole dynamics has changed. They all have their Chromebooks, and I found that I'm even busier now because there's so much need for helping students with that path after high school. And I still have seniors that it's May and they're like, oh my God, it's Stever. I'm not sure what I'm doing still. So I help them with that. Scholarship opportunities, anything that comes down across my desk, I will put out on my Career Center website. I'm on the Dollars for Scholars committee. So we really push that. Also, I mean, scholarships they're all over the place. I just throw them out there, and some of them are kind of crazy, but encouraging students all the time to do that, because it's amazing how much money is out there that is not utilized or taken advantage of for kids. Classroom presentations to seniors. I have some teachers that will have me come into their senior class in the fall to kind of talk to them about scholarships and that whole process. FAFSA and college application assistance. If the kid has a question, if I can answer it, I can. I've been to college a few times myself, put 2 kids through college, so I kind of know the whole process of it. I'm not necessarily a guru, but I've learned an awful lot on that system. Other services, I keep track of volunteering and community events. This is just a list of some of the local organizations that will reach out to me. They finally are realizing that we have a building of about 1,800 students that are possible volunteers. So it's starting to slowly trickle in, but now I'm getting a lot more, which is great. Part-time and full-time employment, same thing. Since the pandemic, I've had a lot more places reach out to me for full-time employment for those students who may not be going on to college or might be sticking around and going to OCC or, something along those lines. So there's opportunities out there as well. Workforce preparation, again, one-on-one with students. They don't have to do the ASVAB to do a career exploration with me. I have other avenues that I can do. Cover letter and resume, how to find a job, interviewing skills, the job application, honestly, whatever they need, if I can help them, that's what I'm doing. I've done a lot more collaborating with other teachers in the building, which has really been wonderful. I have a lot of resource teachers that will come to me and we'll do a scaled down version of a career exploration project. I do resume cover letter and interviewing with the Adulting 101 and humanities classes. I honestly, today I did a mock trial with, with our new business teacher. That is my background and that's what I used to do. He's teaching the class I used to teach. So I'm like, come on, let's do a mock trial. So it was fantastic. I turned the Career Center into a courtroom and it was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Career Center Consortium, this is a group that we formed prior to the pandemic, but really got a lot stronger after the pandemic because we needed to lean on each other. We weren't in a classroom, so it was, you know, what do we do? How do we help these kids? And this is where the virtual career presentations really started to take effect, where we're constantly there's several schools now. I'm thinking there's nine schools now that are in this group. As far as Groton, we have Oswego, and then of course we go Skinny Atlas the other way. So, but just between all of us, we have so many different backgrounds. We bring a lot to the table, and it's just been really great. And we share that with our students. Special needs students, I have a lot of fun with these guys. Sometimes, you know, they don't realize that they're actually working on social skills or working on, you know, sensory or, you know, the manual dexterity stuff. And we just basically call it having fun with Mrs. Devers. And, you know, we do a lot of different things. We play games. We go outside and we blow bubbles and use the chalk and just have dance parties as well. So income tax and filing a tax return, I will do that with humanities. Social media presence and screen management. There's this great video that I have that's on screen time management. And so I work with some of the other teachers and we present that to the class about just managing that. I would love to do it on a larger scale, but it's just time is the problem. And then I do a lot of career, and especially in this beginning of each semester, I do a lot of Career Center introductions. So teachers are so great. They'll bring their kids down to the Career Center. I spend 15, 20 minutes just talking to them about all the stuff that I'm talking to you about so that, you know, they know where I am and the services that I provide. And I do a lot of business through email, which is great. Educational field trips and events. I've started to, because I'm begging people for money for buses. So I'm not afraid to do that. And everyone I've asked has been wonderful. OCC open house for seniors. I usually do that trip. Counseling office will do the juniors in the fall. I have helped our art students on their SU trip there. SRC, which is really great. I take students in the fall, which is juniors, seniors, and then in the spring, I'm able to take sophomores. I've done that both times this year, which was really wonderful. Music students for a day with the music department for OCC at OCC. We go to OCC a lot. Women in law. I was so excited about this when I got the invitation. It is the Women's Bar Association, and they put on a whole Q&A panel for students down at the old courthouse. And just like anybody you can think of, we had a court reporter, we had the, you know, we had attorneys, we had judges, we had retired judges, and it was just really fascinating to hear about their experiences. And turns out one of them is the niece of one of my best friends from high school. So I was very excited to meet her. SUNY Cortland, I went with the club. I forget what that means. They want to learn about teaching is basically what it is. That Cortland School of Education this past spring. That was a lot of fun. So I think now the news around the building is if you want to go on a field trip, go see Deaver because she will help you plan it and chaperone. So that would be. Hope I went fast enough. So thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Great. Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thanks
Thank
so
you for all you do.
Not like Noah and Liam, but.
Baron. Okay, we have no comments from the audience this evening, but as always, we encourage anyone who'd like Any Board of Education committee reports? Mr. Thorne?
Thank you. Next policy committee meeting will be 10 and report.
Great. Mr. Crabtree?
The legislative committee met on last week, May 7th. Talked a little bit about the New York State budget, which at that time had not been passed, but after that, it must be because we met as a committee. They must have listened to us and they passed the budget. Jill talked about registration and Lori talked about the communication. The communication has been awesome in this school district. As you walk out, you're going to see a huge sign. Posters are all over. Liam, who spoke tonight, has been all over the high school with posters and former CNS students out in the community. A lot of people I feel are going to vote because the legislative committee knows, right, Paul, that if we get above a certain number of votes, which I believe was 1873, the committee will have a little get together. So again, tell the taxpayers, hopefully you get out there. I thought Lori did an awesome job. It came in the mail, my house today, the district dispatch. I hope everybody got that. So there we are.
Thank you, Bob. Dr. Ward?
Thank you. So I got some exciting news to share. Hopefully I'm not stealing Daryl Redmond's thunder, but today he says hot off the presses that we are 2025 Best Communities for Music Education, and that was the 2025 Merit Award. So congratulations to Daryl and all of our music folks in the district. And one other quick piece, and I know maybe others will talk about it, but it was my first time going to the talent show on Friday, and I was blown away. I've been to other talent shows in other districts, and nothing compares to the one that we have. So I was so excited. I went home and talked to my wife about it, and I said, you know, you go to a lot of events, but you missed the event you have to go to next year because it was so good. So kudos to everyone involved with that. It was just amazing to see. So thank you for making CNS proud and having an awesome show Friday night.
Have any board comments? Josh?
Yeah, although it was over a month late, I would like to thank the legislature and the governor for passing a budget that ended up being a little bit better for our district than we anticipated. I also want to thank them for passing the cell phone ban. It was a huge issue this year for those of us that there was a conference that NICE had put on, and there was a lot of other information out there. What New York State did in investing resources and making sure that the cell phone ban is going to be able to be enforced is going to have a huge, huge positive scale for all of our kids. There's a lot of research out there, and you know, we were just talking about screen time and stuff. This is a great step, and I think that, you know, we all should be more mindful of that, and especially for our kids. So I wanted to say thank you for that.
Anyone else?
But I also attended, and I'm surprised Mike didn't want to say anything about it, but our own board member here, Azariah, her and her sister did a wonderful piece. Azariah played the guitar and did a little singing. Sister has a beautiful voice, so not only are you talented here. Tonight you saw two students that performed for the Optimist Club, and in the back row, there were a lot of members here. In front of you, you have the newsletter that was produced in March, and inside you will read some comments from our high school students. I'll give a copy to principal of what they feel about their school and about the Optimist Club. And I get proud of the club. And this past Saturday, 16 of them went to the Samaritan Center down on North State Street, and they served close to 150 homeless people. They were amazing. I think it's good for our students to see the other side. It's surprising that it isn't old men that come in there. It's a lot of young men and women that are there. There are people with children, and it tells you, or in some ways, and that we have people without housing and without food. And you know, our high school program is amazing what they do, because we have students right here in CNS, they're in Cicero and they're in Mattydale, and Clay, that don't get fed. And thank God to the program we have at the high school, which now helps every school in our district. And I'm happy with the governor did come through that there will be free lunches and free breakfast for our children in our district. So we'd be really proud, as Dr. Ward says, of our students, not only at the high school, but at every level. So I hope I didn't take anything away from
Okay, so I also wanted to say the same thing, which is the talent show was amazing. I mostly wanted to thank Mr. Nadler and also just so many, the amount of leadership that you see in 4D, especially with the students. I've worked with so many, like, these kids are like younger than me and they're like staying there and they're really committed to what they're doing. So it's actually really amazing to see. I also wanted to say this week, Lakeshore and Roxborough Elementary are both having chorus concerts. I don't know if you've ever been. I have younger siblings, and it's always amazing to go to a chorus concert and see like I have full respect for just the teachers who really commit their time to teaching those kids these beautiful songs. So that's something to mention that kind of just like, I think it will bring a smile to everyone's face. I wanted to say this Friday, there's also a half day for prom. It's junior prom. And also this last week and this week, there's AP exams. So there's a lot of kids who are working hard. And I commend them for that. And I also want to say next Thursday is a Special Olympics. There's going to be so many student volunteers and also student athletes. And every year I love the Special Olympics because it really just shows, it's an amazing event. Also just shows our willingness to learn, to make sure that we include people. And I think it's an amazing sentiment. I think it's an amazing look for our district to keep on doing that and to keep on platforming and allowing these kids to really enjoy their time in ways that we haven't seen before. And it's very similar to just many things we see in this district, where it's allowing people to to just be elevated, and it's amazing. And I also loved all the activities that the Optimist Club did here today. It's always amazing to see students have a more optimistic and positive outlook on life. I think it's definitely something needed. I think it's going to be something that we're going to see more with the changes in everyone being addicted to their phone in school. I think there will be more communication and more friendship, more communication. It's going to be amazing. So thank you.
Okay, we'll move into routine action items. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 5th? Mr. Crabtree and Beth, any questions or comments? That is unanimous. And I'd like to group B, C, and D together, the consideration of classification and placement of students. Do I have a motion to place those before us? Josh and Paul, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is. Now we have the appointment of the poll site managers, inspectors, and a certified machine technician for the May 20th, 2025 annual budget vote and board member election. So do I have a motion to place those listed before us? Beth and Amanda, any questions or comments? All those in favor? We have a gift this evening. The North Syracuse Early Education Program has received donated toys valued at $100. So we would like to accept with gratitude that gift. Do I have a motion? Beth and Josh, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is. Consideration of contract award for the North Syracuse Early Education Program. The recommended action is to award the contract to construction design and management in the amount of $155,200 as the lowest bidder meeting our specifications. Do I have a motion? Beth and Amanda, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Next, we have a resolution to approve the creation of co-curricular positions. We've got some advisors that we need to. Do I have a motion to approve those? Beth? Paul, any questions or comments? All those in favor? Resolution to create and abolish specific positions in maintenance and operations. We received info on this last week. Do I have a motion to approve those changes? Josh and Beth, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is unanimous. Resolution to create and abolish specific positions. This has to do with some civil service office personnel. Do I have a motion to approve those changes? Beth, any questions or comments on that one? All those in favor? Resolution to approve the MOA between the North Syracuse Central School District and the NSEA employee number 02951. The recommended action is to approve that agreement. Do I have a motion for that? Beth and Matt, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That is unanimous. And a recommendation to approve the updated YMCA North Area UPK agreement for 2025, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve that amended agreement? Josh and Amanda, any questions or comments?
Comment. And it's just Mr. Crabtree, personal comment. So the YMCA will be coming into one of our elementary schools and using our room with their teachers. And I will hope down the road that enough funding will come to us that we can finally put UPK in our elementary schools with our teachers and our full program. I feel that want to make changes in test scores and things, it starts with 3- and 4-year-olds. So I hope down the road that this district looks at UPK as our program in our schools. Thank you.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Thank you. And before we get into personnel, I have some retirements I'd like to acknowledge. We have Kelly Han, an elementary teacher, is retiring with 28.3 years of service. Kathleen Carilla, an art teacher, is retiring with 31.8 years of service. James Beaumont, a music teacher, is retiring with 20 years of service. Vincent Morano is a reading teacher who is retiring with 18 years of service. And Patrick Cooley, a custodian 2, is retiring with 22 years of service. So as always, we wish long, happy, and healthy retirement, and thank you for your dedication and support to our district and community. Do we need a executive session before we take personnel? Hey, do I have a motion to accept personnel A as submitted? Josh and Mark, any questions or comments? All those in favor? Do I have a motion to place support staff personnel report B before us? Beth and Paul, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's unanimous. And administrative support, administrative personnel report C. Do I have a motion to place that before us? Josh and Mark, any questions or comments? All those in favor? That's unanimous. And can I get a motion to adjourn? Josh and Beth, all those in favor? That's unanimous, and we're adjourned. Thank you.